I recently read a very interesting book of Steve Schwarzman from Blackstone, What It Takes, Lessons in the Pursuit of Excellence. And I found some very interesting correlations between how hiring at Blackstone works when compared to hiring at Amazon. And I'm talking here about super senior roles, such as finance managers. So I'll structure this video in two parts. The first, I'll talk about my main takeaways from the book. Actually, it was a chapter dedicated to how hiring at Blackstone works, but throughout the book there were some very interesting takeaways. And then the second section are some specific pieces of advice from Steve Schwarzman for candidates going into such roles. Now, the first thing I want to talk about here is something you might have heard of, the airport test. In other words, if you'd be the employer, would you enjoy getting stuck with the candidate for, I don't know, a number of hours because of a delay? Would you enjoy that conversation, or would you just do it because you have to do it? This is a very important test, especially for more senior roles where communication and understanding, mutual understanding, and basically, is this person someone who you'd rather work with? It's quite important. The second element that I found super interesting here is Steve tries to get into people's heads, into candidates' heads immediately from the beginning of the conversation. And the reason for this being, obviously, he wants to see if someone might do well at Blackstone or not. Now, this is nothing new, that any interviewer wants to get into interviewee's head, but for more junior roles and for different types of roles, it can be for different purposes. For example, if you'd want to hire a software development engineer, you want to see if they make sense, or basically maximum they have 2 or 3 other qualities, and you basically look at it in a very quantitative way, when in fact for more senior roles it's much harder to predict when if someone does well in that role. So that's why it's crucial that you are able to get in their head, and they allow you to get in their head as well, in order to see to basically perform a diagnosis there, or if that person is the right type of person for that company's culture. So I would very much encourage you to embrace this, to allow your interviewer to get in your head, for the sake of for the lack of a better expression here, because it will also ultimately be in your favor. Why I'm saying this is because I know that if the job is not for you, it will complicate things a lot. And why I'm saying this is because, first of all, you'll have a 6-month job in your CV, which is not the best thing for anyone. And you will have to restart your application process and all that thing with the hiring and with the CVs, and it's not very comfortable. So that's why getting to know yourself and getting to know your interviewer is very, very interesting. And if the interviewer wants to get in your head, you should allow them, but you should at the same time get in their head as well. And it's of course the best possible formula for success in a job interview. So the more you get in their head, also the better chances you're going to get the interview. This is for the candidate, but also you should allow them to get in your head in order to see the different angles of this conversation. Now, of course, you should have the interview as a natural conversation here, because you're supposed to have an interview as a conversation at these levels. Of course, it's a formal conversation, but it should be natural. Probably less natural for more technical roles. Right? So more technical roles, solutions architects, probably there you can be more technical, even product managers if you want. The discussion can be more and you should be aware that you're not supposed to be the best possible communicator in the world for these things, but still it should have a natural flow as much as possible. The next advice, and something that's very interesting and something that I can tell you from experience is decisive for these types of jobs, is your ability to adapt. And I know this from business, that the best business people in the world are not the ones who have the best intuition, or who are the smartest, or whatever else, are the ones who can adapt to change and the ones who spot trends and jump on those trends. So adaptability is something you will get tested on for a job interview. So think of examples, think of stories where you're able to adapt for things. The next interesting element I found in the book was they test you for uncertainty on whether you're someone straightforward. You have a thought process. You have a zero defect mentality, to quote from the book. And generally speaking, and having experience coaching for senior finance managers roles at Amazon, I know that you must be convincing, and I know that people with banking backgrounds are very good, are supposed to be very good at these things, are very convincing. So that's why the zero defect mentality makes sense. Now, as a bit of an opposite to this, you should be nice, or I shouldn't say opposite, but you should be nice. If you're not someone who's generally nice, then you risk here. And unfortunately, I can remember of quite a few cases of people who were extremely talented and with incredible CVs who could not get into very interesting jobs, because I felt like the culture at their previous employers was a bit toxic, and they couldn't get away from that culture in spite of the fact they're really qualified and very smart people ultimately. So you should be someone who's generally nice, and if you'll just Google a little bit how companies test for these things, they are quite inventive about them. So being nice, being genuinely nice, is something very, very important. And finally, to be consistent and to look for verbal and non-verbal cues, and get into candidates' head that I previously talked about. Now, what is some specific advice from Steve for candidate? I'm just read this out loud. Be on time. Be authentic and natural. Interviewing can be like speed dating. Be comfortable and be who you are. Be prepared to learn about the company. What draws you to the company and why? Be candid. Say what's on your mind. Impress less and be more open. Be confident. Approach as equal, not as supplicant. You can hold a table without being arrogant. Be curious. Engage the interviewer. Best interviews are interactive. Conversation can go both ways. Avoid political divisive issues unless asked. Don't be argumentative. Mention people you know in the organization only if you like and respect them, as you will be judged on that. People's tastes will be evaluated.